Before you dive into the comments section and say, this is clickbait, this is bullshit, I'm going to prove to you that actually this thumbnail and this title is absolutely true. Now, I know what you might be thinking is that there is no way that a beginner bike that you can buy for 1,800 UK pounds is going to be quicker than a Ferrari California, a 2018 Ford Mustang GT with the performance pack, the V8. There's no way that it can be quicker than a Lamborghini Gallardo LP550. But I tell you what, it's absolutely true. We're going to go through some figures, but at the same time, I'm going to talk to you about I've passed my test, I've bought my bike, and just the magnificence of motorcycles in general. But more importantly, I'm going to talk you through why I bought the 2009 Suzuki Gladius SFV 650, and I'm going to tell you why it is such a perfect beginner bike, but yet such a weapon. So here we go. Just in case you are interested in only certain parts of this video, such as what cars is the Suzuki faster than, I'll put timestamps to everything in the about section in the description. So click on them if you just want to see acceleration times 0 to 60, 0 to 100 mile per hour, quarter mile times. We'll do all of that, so have a look down there if you're not too interested. Let's start from the beginnings. At 22 years old, I live in the UK, by the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm Welsh without an accent. So I live in the UK, I live with my wife, I live with my 3 daughters, and I work full time. Very standard stuff. Now, with that being said, I've had many cars, I've had many fast cars. My last car was a Seat Leon FR. It was a 2-litre. It was modded quite a bit, and it made 253 brake horsepower. It was a monster. Holds nothing on these bikes. So anyway, when I was 16, all my friends were getting mopeds, motorcycles, and I wanted to be part of the crew. I don't want to be left out. Plus, if I wanted to start working, or quite selfishly, I just wanted to show up to school on a motorcycle. Anyway, so at 17 years old, I did my CBT, and I had quite a few 125s. There was a Chinese one. It was an Urban DZ125. I owned it was like a Honda CG 125, but it was a Chinese version. It was terrible. Anyway, I've had a load of 125s. And then when I turned 19, I settled down with my wife. My wife's about 10 years older, give or take a few years. She already had a daughter, so I moved in with her. I looked after her and her daughter, who's my daughter. We had another 2 kids, and life moved on. So at 19, I passed my driving test, my car driving test, and I forgot about bikes, although there was something in the back of my mind that I just couldn't forget about. Eventually, I hit 22 years old, and the only option then was to do a CBT and have a 125, or I could do my A2, which would mean doing direct access, DAS. If I did direct access, I could ride a bike with up to 49 brake horsepower. We're not going to go into that. I could either do that then, and then I'd have to wait 2 years to do direct access all over again to ride a full unrestricted license. So I agreed with my wife, if I sell my gaming PC and everything to do with gaming, if I sold all of it and I used that money, would she agree in letting me do my direct access at 24 years old? Anyway, long story short, she said, yes, of course, you can do it. So I sold my gaming PC, which is why YouTube's been a bit slacking lately. However, I'll just quickly say that I have ordered a GoPro mount. I have ordered brackets so I can use my phone as a GoPro, because the cameras on this phone is way better than a GoPro, and it's got a lot more storage. So anyway, that being said, there will be motovlogs coming soon. There will be daily vlogs on the bike, and I will be doing more vlogs specifically on the bike, on the SFV Gladius 650. And there'll be videos about the modifications, the exhaust, things you can do to your bike, but we'll get into that. So anyway, I was 24 years old, and the day after, I'd done my CBT, and then 2 weeks later, I did my Mod 1, and then my Mod 2 got cancelled on me, but I passed my Mod 1 first time, no problem. I got 1 minor because I'd done 1 kilometre, so I did 49 kilometres when you were meant to do 50 kilometres on the avoidance manoeuvre. Anyway, smashed that, I had 1 minor. I did my Mod 2, Smashed that, no problem. Had 2 minors on that, I think. That was for over-checking because I kept losing the examiner because for some reason all examiners are in cars these days. So if you can hear shouting in the background, it's just my wife. She's in the bath. The kids are running around upstairs. Just bear with it. It'll be fine. So I've done my mod 1. I've done my mod 2. I've got my full direct access. I've got my unrestricted license. May have to record this again if you guys are picking up this shouting. It's always like a war zone up there, hence why I can't live stream anymore, hence why I can't upload any more videos, because there's just usual adult life going on. You'll have to excuse me constantly moving around and up and down. I've just had to go back up the stairs to the kids again, so let's just roll with it. When I was practicing for my mod 1 and mod 2, as soon as I'd done my CBT, that had to be done on a 125, then I went on to my mod 1. When I went on to my mod 1, I hear that the people that I was learning with, which by the way, their name is West Wales Motorcycles, so if you're in the area, check them out, do it with them, they are the best. They had a 2009 Suzuki Gladius SFE 650, and I'm very short, I'm about 5'6" at a push, and I hear that they'd had lowering springs put on one of their 650s. They have 2 same bikes, different colours, one's green and black, one's blue and white. And I knew that I'd been told that one of them had lowering springs, and I asked them and they said yes. So each time I went in to do a training day, training hour, a mod, I put my gear on, and there was always someone with me. I'd run to this bike, and I fell in love with it, which it's a good bike. It sounded amazing because for some reason the driving school, the riding school, had put a Scorpion, is it conical? It's a Scorpion exhaust anyway, it's just a slip-on. And it had both bikes, of course, the learner bikes, so they had the, what do you call them? The frame sliders. And it was just beautiful. I seen it, I thought, oh, I would love to have a bike like that. So anyway, I done my mod 1, passed it, and then I said to the my sort of driving coach, my riding coach, my not assessor, anyway, the guy that works at West Wales, I said, Paul, I love this bike, but I've been searching for them and I can't find them for less than £3,000. I need to buy a bike that I can beat up. And he said, oh, just ask Kev, he'll sell you this, he'll sell you his liver. And funny enough, when I was doing my mod 2, I said to Kev, the owner of the bike shop, who he does everything. He's hands-on, he's very good. He said to me, I heard you wanted to buy the Gladius. I said, yeah, it's the only bike I can bloody fit on. And it's actually true. The Gladius, the seat height is very good. I could fit on both of them, but the one with the lower end springs was perfect. I can 2 feet, I'm 5'6", I can 2 feet the Gladius. I can't flat foot it, but I can nearly flat foot it with both feet. So if you're a short rider, go with the Gladius. The lower end springs are cheap. If not, you can still fit, and the bike's super light. It's, I've written it down, it's about 200 kilos, which I'll put on screen how many pounds that is, but it's pretty light. It has a very small wheelbase as well, which is only 60 inches, which means that it's got a nice turning circle, but you can also wheelie the life out of it as well if you want to. So anyway, long story short, I had a chat with Kev, and he said, yeah, if you want to buy it, we need to get 2 brand new Gladiuses anyway, so if you pay me the deposit for a brand new one, you can have this one. I thought, oh, okay. I said, well, how much is that going to be? Because I don't want to pay $5,000 if that's the deposit. And he gave me a price, and I ripped his hand off straight away. Bear in mind, this has got the full fairings, so the belly pan, it's got the exhaust system, it's got frame sliders, it's had a brand new clutch basket, it's had a lot of work done, it's fully maintained, full service history, brand new MOT, and my next MOT they're going to do for free as well, for £1,800 for a 2009 Suzuki Gladius SFE 650. So I bought it. It's outside right now. And throughout this video, you're going to see clips of the bike. I tell you what, right now, why don't we listen to a sound clip of the bike? I'll show you this clip, which is going to be my wife recording me. She could hear me coming from work. I meet her after work at the gym, and she recorded, I asked her to. She recorded me riding back, and just listen to it. The camera doesn't do it justice, but here's clip 1. And here's a few videos of me looking around the bike. This is on my lunch break at work. I'm just looking around the bike, checking it out, and I'm going to play you some clips in due course. I'm just going to cut myself out randomly so that I don't have to worry about editing, but eventually you're going to hear like the startup, revving the bike up. Again, the microphone doesn't do it justice. I haven't got a very good microphone, it's just my phone. Let's talk more about what is the bike. As I said, it's a 2009 Suzuki Gladius SFE 650. It's a 4-stroke 90-degree V-twin with dual overhead cams, and it's a 6-speed as you would expect. It's fuel injected, which is actually my very first fuel injected bike ever. It's liquid cooled and it's actually 645 cc's in case you're wondering. It produces 71 brake horsepower. Now, it doesn't sound a lot, but it's still faster than a Mustang GT. It's faster than a Ford Mustang V8. Like I've said at the start, we're going to get into that very soon. Again, check the timestamps if you don't want to hear me blobbering on. That's not even a word. So anyway, it produces 71 brake horsepower. It produces 63 newton meters of torque, so it's quite torquey. It's very torquey actually, and the equivalent is 47 foot-pound of torque. Now, Suzuki made this bike cheap because it is pretty much the brother bike or the sister bike to the, as you guys will know, the Suzuki SV650. That can look more like a proper feared sports bike rather than the upright feared or non-feared naked bike. But the ergonomics on the SFE 650, they're a bit more upright. It's got a sort of uprated engine. It's a little bit more powerful, and it is actually a different bike. However, one of the pros, which we'll get into in a second, is that it shares so many parts with the SV650, and luckily there's a massive aftermarket sort of culture built around the SV650. So if there's anything you ever wanted to do with a Gladius, you could absolutely do. There's a massive aftermarket sort of culture for it. One of the biggest downsides, I think, is that it's got a compact trellis steel frame rather than an aluminium frame. However, like I said, these bikes were built cheap, which doesn't mean built bad. It just means, like with the Honda Civic, like the new Honda Civics, they've just slowly improved, which means that you don't have to put that much money into research and development, which means that you can slowly improve it and you can get a fantastic bike without spending millions on this research and development. So it is a cheap bike. Like I said, I bought mine for 1,800 UK pound. There are others out there, but mine's the cheapest that I've ever seen one. They do come out around 2.5 grand, 3 grand. My wife's in the middle of having a bath and coming downstairs, so just bear with me 2 secs. So it's the best beginner bike because it has very forgiving brakes. It does have ABS, but they're not intrusive whatsoever. You can leave the bike in 6th gear around town. It has loads of torque. Now, it doesn't have a monster amount of torque, but it has a lot of torque. So you can leave it in 6th gear and plod around town. And if you ever need to escape a situation, you flick the wrist and you're gone. I've done it many a times. The bike is very agile, or the more scientific sort of Squidward is it's flickable. And I will make videos on this when I've actually got the GoPro mount. You have excellent feedback through the 160 rear and the 170 front. And I just want to say, going from a few 125 bikes up to like the 160 rear, the 170 front, the feedback's tremendous, and you have it inspires confidence going through corners, accelerating, even the little things like riding on the white line when you're going past cars. It's absolutely nutty. The bike has a really short wheelbase as well. As I said, I've written it down here somewhere. It's got a 60-inch wheelbase, which means it's quite short. Which means that if you just sit back a little bit, and it'll come up easily in first with a power wheelie, it'll come up in second as a power wheelie, and in third you snatch the clutch, it'll pop up no problem. Fourth, I couldn't, but you could. If you want to try it, go ahead. You probably could. You definitely could. I couldn't. I want to compare the ergonomics. So I've got a few pictures up here from ergocycles.com, and you sat very upright. It's very, very comfy, although we'll get to the negatives about the seat in a second. So I've just put up a few pictures on screen here. I've compared it to the Ducati Monster 696. I've compared it to the Suzuki Bandit 650 and the famous Yamaha FC07, or in the UK, MT07. Very, very similar bikes, and they're all competing against each other. However, it's going to make a big difference. Like, if you have a look at the lean angles, the Gladius 650 is more upright, and your feet are a little bit further back, which I find very comfortable, and you can tuck yourself right in. However, let's talk about the cons before we talk about the rest of the pros, because we're nearly done here. One of the biggest cons, which it could be a fueling timing problem because I have got that big old Scorpion exhaust on the back, but when you're riding around town, if you're riding around in a low gear or high gear, I don't know how it is, but if you're riding around town doing 30 miles per hour in 4th or 5th or 6th, actually in any gear it doesn't really matter. It seems to be quite snatchy. It seems like there's no, like if you're riding by wire, it's very sort of, it goes with your wrist as, I don't know why I'm doing that, but what it seems to be, below 3000 RPM, the bike does seem to have, there's only two options, the throttle's open or it's shut. So when you're riding around without, using your clutch control, it is a bit, you know what I mean, because I know a lot of 125s, a lot of 400s are very similar. The seat is very, very thin. It wouldn't be that comfortable to do a lot of miles in. However, the seating position is perfect. Although, another con, the wind protection, there's absolutely none. However, I could probably just get a bigger sort of front screen, but I like it looking like the Speedfire, so I've removed the ugly minging mirrors, and it's made a difference how I ride it as well. I feel like the bike's smaller, it's lighter. Even though it's none of the above, it does feel a lot smaller, as if you're riding a Honda Grom. It feels like you could just throw it around without them big bulky mirrors on. So I've removed them. The seat's not very comfortable. There's people shouting outside arguing, so I'm just being a bit nosy. I should probably get on with the video. I just want to say I'm going to read this off here because I'm not an engineer, so I don't have these facts to hand. So the peak torque is at 7,600 RPM. Bear that in mind. So 7,600. Peak horsepower is at 9,000. It revs up to 10.5, 11,000. So even though low-end torque is fantastic, it takes off like a rocket as soon as it hits 7,000. And I'll give you a verbal sort of explanation. So you're riding along and it's got lots of torque. You flick it and it goes woo woo. Yeah, it goes. And then as soon as you hit 7,000, it feels as if, or it sounds as if someone's pulled the clutch in. So it's similar to VTEC, although that's not how it acts. It's how it sounds and how it feels. But it's weird, that power band, it doesn't feel like, because it's so short from about 7,500 to 10.5, as soon as it hits it, it just, as if it hits a rev limiter or pulls a clutch in, it goes woo. So I'll give you a sound. I'll be the exhaust. So we're at 1,000 RPM and it's going woo, and it hits 7,000 and it goes woo, just like a lawnmower. As soon as you rev it, it's hard to explain. So it revs up nicely, and as soon as it hits 7,500, it's as if the horsepower has doubled and the engine speed is like quadrupled. That's about it for the cons. I'm going to go in with the pros now. So it shares most parts with the SV650, as I said. The aftermarket scene is tremendous. You can make anything out of a Gladiator or an SV650. The V-twin sounds like a absolute dream, but you must have a slip-on. The stock exhaust is terrible, sounds like shit. If you put on an aftermarket exhaust, I've got the Scorpion, Conical, or whatever, however you pronounce it. You've heard it. It's amazing, and to hear it without the microphone having a maximum sort of decibels that it can hear, it just sort of blends it into one. So just bear in mind that what you're hearing, it's even louder. It's mind-blowing. With this exhaust as well, this hasn't been tuned, so it does crackle, it does pop. If you're going down a hill and you're in second and you rev it up, obviously the exhaust has got to be warm, but as soon as you let go of the throttle, you close it, it goes pop, 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 and little flames shoot out, so that's always nice. Although some people may not like that, I love it. I'm a big child, you'll see by my tweets that I love it. 71 horsepower may not sound like a lot, but with a sharp throttle response and with a bucket of torque, it's an absolute rocket ship. And I'm going to go into some stats now quickly. So the timestamp will be here. So if you've just pressed the timestamp, here we go. Let's talk about how quick this bike actually is. So it only has, 71 horsepower and 63 Newton meters of torque. Let's go into stats. So it has the same acceleration as a Ferrari California. Its 0 to 60 is 3.5 seconds. And its 0 to 100 miles per hour is 9.9 seconds. This is the SFE 650. I'm going to compare that to a few cars that I've got just above you guys over here. So the 2010 Lamborghini Gallardo, or as some people call it, Gallardo, if you're, it does 0 to 60 in the exact same time, 3.5 seconds, and it does a quarter mile in 11.82 seconds. Now I tell you what, the 11.82 seconds is the quarter mile time for the Gladius. I do apologise. Let's talk about a 2018 Ford Mustang GT, the V8, with the performance pack. It does 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, so that's 0.3 seconds slower than the SFE 650. And bear in mind, this Mustang's got launch control as well, and its quarter mile time is 12.1 seconds. That's quite a lot slower than the SFE 650. So it's faster than a Lamborghini Gallardo, a Ferrari California, and a 2018 Ford Mustang GT. What more must I say? So even though these horsepower figures are low, torque numbers are low, relatively low, there's no way they've got great sort of, we won't go into coefficiencies of drag, but they're very sort of streamlined. They're not big fat buses like these Mustang GTs. So I think I've covered everything there, guys. Like I said, I've bought a new bike. I've included some clips. I've shown you the ergonomics compared to other bikes. This is the best beginner bike that you can buy for under £2,000. Guys, I've been Mitch. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and share with a few friends if they think that they've got fast cars, just to prove to them that you could kick their ass under £2,000. I'll see you all soon.